What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to Vinny's Corner this week with your host, Vince Casada, and my boy, Cove. What's up, brother? How are you today?
Pretty good.
All right, so guys, listen, before we jump into it, I'll just give you kind of the rundown on what we're doing, and then we'll break for the intro. This week, obviously, we got the World Series starting, so that's going to be where we finish our talks today, right? Talking about the World Series. But, of course, we got NFL Week 7 and 8. The NHL has kicked off, and the NHL has been exciting. They are scoring a lot this season, and the NBA has restarted this week. So we got a lot to discuss this week, guys. Hopefully, everybody's excited to hear what we have to say. We're just going to cut real quick to our intro, and where did the intro go?
Purdue as Mitchell looks for an answer.
Ooh, pure, nothing but net.
Garland to the basket, stole the inbound pass. He lays it in.
Basketball down there.
Very high percentage shot for him from that spot. Merrill for three. Tristan Thompson on the floor. The three, that's short. Hard rebound, ricochets out to Merrill for three again.
For the We Like Sports Show, tune in and see the latest the crew has to say regarding the latest sports topics nationally and locally. Make sure to check out our website as well, WeLikeSportsPC.com. Subscribe on all platforms, including podcast platforms, YouTube, TikTok, and much more. And be sure to follow us on X at WeLikeSportsPC.
Started with Anderson and Ramirez.
He said, let's go, right? Yeah, I'm sure he wants the game to start, but they won't let it. And rightfully so.
All right, guys, welcome back to Vinny's Corner. And so just to jump right in, we just finished NFL Week 7. We are looking at NFL Week 8. Cove, my man, what do you think? Before we jump into the questions, was there anything that just immediately stood out to you in Week 7? Any one particular thing?
Not really. I was unfortunately working the whole day, so I got to miss everything. So I didn't really get to watch it.
Listen, I can totally appreciate that. Listen, Week 7 for me, I think, Lamar kind of pushed it where now he's like the heavy favorite for MVP for a third time. I think that's fantastic. More power to him. I'm not a huge fan of Lamar Jackson personally. I think I used to say he was overrated. I'm sort of like foot in mouth now. You can't call this guy overrated anymore. I mean, he's doing it on the ground. He's doing it on the ground. He's doing it in the air. He's doing it everywhere. There's not much I can make as a case for him being overrated. He's one
of those words. I hate it. Overrated. And the thing is everybody that rates these guys, what makes you the expert?
Listen, you know what I tell people? I've been watching football for 34 years. I know everything, but I don't, The truth is I don't. But look, I'm going to just pull up his numbers real quick because I think it's important for people to hear, like, what this guy is doing. I think he's just doing – it's kind of ridiculous, Give me a second here. I should have already had these up, and I didn't. That's my fault. Standings. Let's go. So, as a team, we already know, right? The Ravens are now tied for first place in the AFC North. They're 5-2. I think they lost 2 in a row, and then they won 5 in a row, if I'm not mistaken.
Win, loss, something like that.
Okay,
right?
win, loss, 4 wins in a row.
Yeah, something like that. I think it was 3 wins.
So, look, going through 7 games this season, Lamar has already passed for 1,810 yards, which, that's ridiculous. 15 touchdowns on top of that. His completion rate is almost 70%, 68.2 to be exact. He's got 455 yards on the ground. That's my daughter. And more importantly, he's only thrown 2 interceptions this whole season. So, it's hard to really say anything against the guy right now, He's doing an amazing job. Here's what I tell everybody, right? I said this to my boy Reg on one of his posts the other day. Cowboy Reg. He said that Lamar is now 23-1 against the NFC. My rebuttal, he's 1-4 against Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, the champ, the incumbent, that's Pat Mahomes. So what's going to matter now is if Lamar can get over that hump. We know he's going to the playoffs. He's probably going to win MVP. Can he beat Pat Mahomes to get to the Super Bowl?
Well, we'll go old school because we're old school guys. Peyton versus Tom. Peyton was always the regular season guy. He was the MVP guy, but couldn't beat Tom. That was the thing.
Yeah. Listen, 100% right. Well, what do you think? Can he do it this year? Is this the year that Lamar gets over the hump?
Well, I'll give you 2 ways. I think he can, but will the NFL refs allow it? I had to use the apprentices because everybody's theory is the refs, they have a thing with the Chiefs right now. So
listen, I think that the biggest conspiracy in sports is the NFL scriptwriters.
Yes.
Okay. And a part of the NFL scriptwriters is the referees going along with Pat Mahomes every week. I think that as fans, we are so sick of the guy that we see stuff and we're like, no, it wasn't a pass, or it was a pass, whatever it is.
I think everything we see, it's like, oh my God, that's always Pat. Pat gets away with this thing. Pat gets away with this. The Chiefs get away with this. We always do that. Every team we hate, we love to bitch about it. Basically. And
listen, when Tom Brady was the GOAT doing the GOAT things, and it was like 4 Super Bowls in or whatever he was at that point with the Patriots, everyone felt the same way. It was like, come on, can anyone pull against this guy?
Yes, you know what I mean?
And I think that's it's a part of sports. Sports is a love-hate relationship. I personally, I'm not sure that Pat is ready to be dethroned. I think that, like, as regular as his numbers seem during the regular season,
there's a whole spectrum with Pat.
Playoff Pat is a whole different animal, right? And more importantly, this team they're rumbling right now. Like other teams may look stronger, but they go out every week and they win every week against whatever defense, against whatever offense. They just keep doing it. So for me to say at this point that there's I can't personally, until the Chiefs lose a game, get beat up on the field or something, there's no way I can say that there's a team above the Chiefs. They won the Super Bowl the last 2 years straight, and they're currently undefeated. So, for what it's worth,
playoff Pat. He's got 12 starts, 9-3 record, 66.7 completion rate, 3,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and a 106.2 passing rate in the playoffs.
And that, for a guy to be, for a guy to win 75% of the time in the playoffs, to have over 100 passing rater, right? In 12 games, he's thrown 3,500 yards. Some teams, some guys, we want to see that from in a season. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's 12 games. There's a level that he turns it up to when you get to that point in the season. You know what I mean? And
that's what you want every year from your team. Is not, you don't want a Peyton Manning playoff choker more so than anything. One and done. You know what I mean?
Listen, I agree with you. Now, so listen, let's jump. We're about 10 minutes into the show. You know what? First, I do want to give a quick shout out. We have a few sponsors here. So I do always love to give a shout out to our sponsors. We'll get one of them out of the way nice and early. For our folks who are into working out, I'm a little gym rat. If you follow me online, I love to post stuff about my exercises and whatever else, along with my engaging questions. But But W.com, W is a pre-workout. It's a non-jittery pre-workout. So it's a good product. I try to not use pre-workouts too often, but what I can compare W to, if you guys are like kind of hip to the game with like pre-workouts in the gym, it's like it's like Alani-ish, it's a quality product. It works and it doesn't get you overstimulated. A guy who's my age, 41 and better, that still wants to use a pre-workout does not need to feel like he's going to have a heart attack on the gym floor. So guys, if you're interested, check out W.com. Use the We Like Sports with a Z promo code, and you'll get 10% off on your order. All right. Now jumping into our questions for the week, starting with the NFL. All right. So guys, what I like to call this segment, this is Cove's questions. I ask them a lot just because Vince does that sort of shit, but you know what I mean? They're Cove's questions. The guy comes up with some of the best questions in sports. And so just to start up, which team do we think is going to come out on top between the New York Jets and the New England Patriots this week in Week 8? Now, that's a huge divisional rivalry. The Jets have just floundered, right? They went out and got Devontae last week. It made no difference. They were still the Jets. They couldn't put it over the top. Now, Bill Belichick pointed out something, and this was interesting to me because he was talking about the coaching staff a little bit in New England. Obviously, he was talking about the coaching staff, but he said they got to take ownership too because that was the same defense last season that was top 5 in stopping the run. Now they're 26th in the league. So what's gone wrong there? Are they going to be able to stop the Jets offensively? And is Drake May, as a rookie quarterback in his second, maybe third start of the season, going to be able to get through that wicked defense that the Jets have put together?
Oh,
what do you think?
It's going to be Drake May. You got Aaron Rodgers, who's basically shaky as best right now. He's got a knee, ankle, whatever, probably throwing a hip out by the end of the season with that old age. But I mean, what was it? 2 weeks ago, we saw him do the Fortnite crawl, like a grown-ass man on his hands and knees crawling because he got hit so damn hard. It's going to happen. And the thing is New England's always had the Jets numbers psychologically. It was Brady, but psychologically, they've always had their numbers. So I think it's going to be a huge standard. Like it's going to be a huge outcome for the Patriots because they got to fix their head coach, everything. And Drake May has been solid the last 2 weeks. He hasn't come out, but his numbers are amazing for the last 2 weeks he's played. He is a very athletic quarterback.
So this was actually something I was saying before the draft. I think like Drake is one of the most athletic quarterbacks we've seen in years, okay, we have Lamar, obviously, so we have like a certain super high bar, but like for a guy Drake's size who can be like a pocket presence, he's super athletic. Like Drake is the kind of guy who like, if they ran like a trick play and put him out as a receiver, he's getting that pass. Like, oh, yeah. You know what I mean? He could double as a wide receiver. He's just an incredibly athletic dude. I'm excited to see what he does this week. I think he will throw at least one pick because I think the Jets are prime. That secondary is good. But I'm agreeing with you here. I take the New England Patriots on the money line on this. I think they win this game outright. Everybody's got their own feeling on it. Guys, as always, if you're on YouTube, X, Facebook, any of our socials, feel free to chime in. Let us know what you guys think. We love to hear from the fans. And now moving right along to question 2. How do we – and so this is a good one too. I like this question because this brings into play a certain old school quarterback who just keeps himself relevant. How do we see the matchup this week between the Colts and the Texans? The Texans going to wrangle the Colts, or is Joe Flacco going to lead them past?
I think this is going to be the Colts coming out if who you reference on I always screw up his name because I think of Shane Falco. You probably know the reference I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But anyways, Richardson is in, so I don't know how it's going to outcome with that.
Richardson's back.
Richardson's back, but he's got that hip flex. Like, he's got that hip injury. So I don't know. If he gets hit the right way, it might come back. Flacco coming back out again, being the hero he has been and playing the way he's playing. So this is going to be a very tight game. It's a rivalry game. It's in Houston. So I don't know. I think Houston edges it out. Really, I would like to see Colts beat them, but I really think the Texans will edge this one out because of their defense.
I think so. I think that, between the defensive line, I think they're great at getting pressure. But my key to this game is Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon establishes a running game, and I just don't think the Colts are good enough to stop him defensively. I think he easily is going to break 100 yards this weekend, and that will be the difference maker. Because when they can't stop the run effectively, it's just going to open up that passing game for CJ, and that becomes a dangerous thing. Because CJ's got a lot of talent running around out there. He's got one guy hurt, right? But he's still, he's still got Diggs. He's still got Dell. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go with you on this one. H-Town made, Texans all day. Now, mind you guys, I also have CJ Stroud and Joe Mixon starting every week on my fantasy regardless. So I always want the Texans to win. They're like my low-key favorite team in the AFC. Don't tell my wife I said that. But moving right along. This is a good one here. And this is a huge one. I think this one has playoff implications. Like, one of these teams may make it to the playoffs. One of them may not. And I think that this game is a huge deciding factor because this is like where they need to turn it around. Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. Both teams have a 3-3 record right now, so they've each had a bye week. But again, the 49ers have offensively seen another setback, right? Ayuk was going all out for that money all off season. He started out the season and did nothing for the team, and now he's gotten tragically hurt. I hope he does have a speedy recovery, but what do they do? And who takes this one?
Well, I'll correct it in this way. I did write the question, obviously, but Dallas has a 3-4 record, not 3-3.
3-4. You're right. I was going to say only one of them's had a bye week, I think. Yeah.
But this one, I think this is just going to be a rivalry game. I don't see this playoff implicated. Both teams are just showing their age right now, and I don't think either of these teams is going to make the playoffs. The way with this record right now and the way they've been playing and dumping games the way they've been dumping them, I don't see either of these teams making the playoffs unless they make a drastic change at trade deadline.
So it's interesting you say that because one thing I do think is very true. I think the NFC West is wide open right now. LA has tonight. You have Puka and Kupp starting again, right? Both receivers are out for LA. LA can make a statement tonight and beat the Vikings. Well, I'm not saying they will or they won't, but it's possible. But I think the NFC West is wide open right now, and it's a very hard thing to see. I think right now, I feel like the wild cards, all of them belong to the NFC North.
Yeah.
Like right now, I could see the NFC North sending 3 teams to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
This game, I'm going with the Cowboys on this. I'm kind of in agreement with you. I think both teams have showed their woes, and I think that they are both kind of like 2 seasons. They're not the teams they were last season or 2 seasons ago. I don't know what the score is going to look like in this one. It could be high scoring. It could not be. It depends on if the defenses show up. Both teams should have very solid defenses, but they haven't always looked like it. So I would take the Dallas Cowboys in this one. I'm going to ride with the NFC East, even though they are probably the team I dislike most in the history of the world. Actually, you know what? That's owned by the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll be honest. But that's where I see it. So, and you're right. Because of the way the Commanders are playing, and with the Eagles are starting to get their role again. They're starting to get back together in a good manner. As of right now, I think that the Commanders, the NFC East is theirs to lose. And like, if there was going to be a wild card out of the NFC East, I would think it was the Eagles. So at the moment, I think you could be right. Neither of these teams could make the playoff, but this week is crucial. I think the team that wins this game needs to take that as momentum to start the roll for the second half of the season, right? So I don't know, but I think you make a good point. They're not what they should be, not what they should be at all.
Not when you
right along.
Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay playing phenomenal.
And that's my whole thing. Like, right? So if there's good, right? So there's 2 wild cards, right?
Yeah.
How does the NFC North not take both of those?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Green Bay has looked way too good. The Lions are very consistent. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the Vikings
are 4-2 right now. Like, there's not a losing record in the NFC North.
Yeah, I mean it's you know, and right. I forgot about the Bears, but I don't believe in Caleb Williams quite like that yet.
No.
That being said, I do believe in his defense, and his defense could bring him there. So either way, I do see all of the wild cards as of right now today in the NFC. I think get taken. I think it's going to be 3 teams out of the NFC North, and then whatever else happens, right? So the next one that we're looking at here, predictions. And what do you think about this one? So both teams have a 4-3 record. We got the Falcons and we got the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Tampa Bay Bucks just had a catastrophic week. They lost Godwin and Evans on the same night.
Yeah.
Can they beat the Falcons without Evans and Godwin? Is that even possible?
I don't think so. And Cousins loves to be a comeback king.
That's a fact.
Just in case they do get a fucking, Kirk Ice becomes Kirk Ice, right?
Bro, listen. I'm going with my boy Ryan on this one. Falcons all the way. I think that they absolutely win this one. I don't know what happens with the Bucks from this point. It's all about when these guys heal up. But last week could have ruined that season. Simple as that. It could have changed the whole season for them. So, and then the last one. Whoa. Okay, so this is an interesting one. He got the hat out for it. All right, so we know that Deshaun Watson is out, right? We know that. So finally, Browns fans have gotten their wish. They will have somebody else starting at quarterback. Hooray. You know what I mean? The dog pound has gotten it. Now, speedy recovery to him. We never want to see an athlete get hurt. This is their livelihood. But Deshaun is not the Deshaun they paid for. That being said, that team is 1-6. Even my Giants beat them.
Yeah.
And they're about to play the Ravens. The Ravens look ridiculous. I mean, there's no other way to say it. They look like the best team in football right now.
That's what I said. An upset happened, but realistically, it ain't gonna happen. There's no way this is gonna happen.
Listen. Any given Sunday, trap games are always possible because of a backup quarterback and because of how this team has played this season. They could go out there and be like, you know what, like we got this. And surprisingly, the Rams come out fired up, or not the Rams. I just said the Rams. The Browns come out there fired up and take a W. But realistically, right? Baltimore Ravens take this in a landslide.
They lost Watson. The team does not believe in Winston, and DTR is injured. So they got nobody. They got nobody to play quarterback.
I was going to try out, but they told me I'm too short. So listen, if I was a betting man, you know what? I'm curious. I'm going to look at let's look at the spread on that game right now. NFL schedule, Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, it's got to be nasty. It's got to be nasty on that spread.
Yo, on ESPN, it just said tickets as low as $22. I didn't even know that was possible in the NFL. I'm like, what?
The Carolina Panthers were selling tickets last year as low as $1.80.
All right, so listen, the over-under on this game is 44.5. Baltimore minus 8.5. I would take the over-under because I think Baltimore is going to score more than 40 points themselves. Yeah. And I would take the spread because it's 8.5. I think they're going to probably beat them by like 4 touchdowns, maybe more.
Yeah, actually, they probably can beat them with a friggin' field goal at this point.
Just field goals.
Yeah, just field goals. I mean, Justin Tucker can kick it for the 50-yard line every time. They get to the 50, and Tucker can just nail it right there. And there you go. There's the game.
It's definitely listen, I don't know what the answer is for the Browns right now, but I never did know what the answer was for the Browns. I felt like they should have kept Flacco in place and just ran it back. But, do what you're going to do. And so, listen, guys, if you're betting people and if you do decide to take that over-under that spread, you can use our other sponsor, mybookie.com. And if you go to mybookie.com and use the Sports with a Z promo code, they will match your bets for the day up to 1,000 credits. So definitely a solid one there. Now, guys, it's that time of day. We got to move it on. There's some other stuff going on in the world. So we want to leave it off with MLB, but let's talk a little bit about hockey right now. So the NHL, it's been a super exciting start to the season. Lots of goals getting scored. Who are your top 4 teams at this point?
I was actually surprised because I was busy working and I haven't really paid attention to the NHL too much other than like the Frozen Frenzy that actually happened the other day, which 100 goals were almost scored in one day, which was insane.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, the game when all 32 teams played.
Yeah, it was like 92.
What was that, Tuesday night?
Yeah, it was like 92 or 93 goals were completely scored. So it was exciting for hockey. The offenses were clicking for everybody. So, I mean.
So what do you think? Who are your top 4 teams right now in the NHL?
Well, I'm not surprised by the Rangers being a top team because they have a caliber team. I'm really not surprised with that one. But to see Calgary off to a strong start, Minnesota off to a strong start, and the Winnipeg Jets off to a strong start.
Winnipeg looks like the best team in hockey.
Yeah, it's just because they haven't lost. But these 4 teams that I put in this thing, they all haven't lost in regulation right now. So it's off to a hot start for 4 teams, and 3 of them are Western Conference. So I mean.
Jumping right into your questions, what do you think the key factor's been? And I think you already said it, but why is Winnipeg looking so good?
I think the team has been built a couple years ago, and they finally have clicked. They've had this rocky, up and down for the last few years, but now they've kept our core together. We'll go with the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers in 2015, everybody was just like, this team is just garbage. They had like the worst goddamn arena going off with like going live and having 17 fans in the stands, like Chicago White Sox kind of thing. And then they've been to back-to-back Stanley Cups and the one last year. I think what it is Winnipeg's core has stayed together so long, they are finally starting to click and enjoy the game that they're playing. So I think
how do I pronounce his last name? Chevalier?
Who?
Mark? I think it's Chevalier. I can't Schieifele. The captain, the center, starting, scored 5 goals for them already.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to sound like a French Canadian when I say it, right? Mark Chevalier. But he's, he's full steam ahead. He's got 8 points already in his first 6 games. Probably not the best out there, but he's looked stellar for the team. And then,
but the Jets have the Leafs, right? So it's a Canadian versus Canadian matchup. We could see Jets getting their first loss up against they're playing the Kraken tonight.
The Kraken are a weird team. The Kraken can score a lot of goals, but they can't seem to defend very well.
Yeah.
They'll put up 5 goals to start and then lose like 6-5.
But so that thing with hockey, that 2-0 lead is not the best lead in hockey. It's the worst lead in hockey because you can go up 2 goals and then lose 7-2. Like, it just happens. It's just what happens in hockey. Once your team falls apart, it just happens. It's just like a stream roll. It just keeps happening and happening and happening. That's why you got to get that lockdown in hockey.
Yeah, I can agree to that. And, now moving right along to the Rangers. How do we feel about the Rangers? So actually, I know we had the Flames first, actually, but we're on the Rangers now, and that's okay. Listen, for me, I mean, Panarin's had 13 points this season already, 7 assists, 6 goals. He's playing lights out, just ridiculous hockey. You know what I mean? To me, that makes all the difference in the world. But, they got a damn good goalie too. And for me, that's like, I think that's really been, we had Jonathan Quick play one game, but, and the one game he played, he won. But they have Igor Shesterkin. And Igor Shesterkin, to me, is the top 3 goalie in hockey.
Oh, yes, 100%.
So I think that as long as he's doing his job, that team knows how to score goals. They can run it up, and they can run it up quick. If Shesterkin can keep a team at 3 or less, they're not going to beat the Rangers.
No.
It's just simple as that. So I think that that the team is still the team. It's the team who lost last year who felt they should have won, right? And so they got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder also. So I expect to see good things from them. I think they're going to be right back where they were when it comes playoff time. I think they're going to be playing for everything again, and I think a lot of that's going to be on Shesterkin's back. That guy's a legend. I love to watch him. What are your thoughts on that?
See, the thing with the Rangers with me is they are a complete team. And
absolutely.
Solid the last 3-4 years. And so I'm not surprised that they have the hot start that they have, because also, yourself as we're going to go into the MLB soon, New York, when New York's in the playoffs, it's the atmosphere. So right now, Madison Square Garden is just lit up right now because the Yankees are in the World Series. So I think
Liberty just won.
He is just in MSG right now. That's pushing.
New York City is all energy right now for sports, and I'm really hoping. We're not really going to jump into basketball this week, but I'm hoping my Knicks can feed off some of that energy too, because that first game against the Celtics they were shooting almost 60% and they got smoked.
Just to be quick on that one, I think that's expected. The Knicks, I love the fans of the Knicks, the passion, but they get in their damn head too goddamn quick. And last year, what did they do? We want the Celtics. Well, you weren't even playing the Celtics yet, and you let the Pacers walk all over you. Yet again, then you got the Celtics, and you're like, we got them. Play them before you say you got them, because obviously it showed up that you did not have them.
Listen, and so this is the big takeaway, and I know we're not really doing the NBA thing this week, but my big takeaway, the last 2 seasons, the Knicks have been lauded for their defense. There was no defense in that game. They were just letting uncontested threes go off constantly. The whole team got involved. I mean, it wasn't like one. Tatum had a lot, but Drew Holiday was hitting. White was hitting. I mean, everybody was hitting from behind the arc, and that's not how you win games. It's not how you win games. Letting threes go uncontested in the modern era, that's how you win games for the other team, but it's not how the Knicks win. So now just moving right back into the hockey space, our really the number 2 team for a lot of people, but the Calgary Flames, another Canadian team. I expect Canadian hockey to be great, but what is it that's clicking for them right now? What do you think's really doing it for them?
I got two thoughts on that one. One, it's the Johnny G thing. I think that's momentum for them. They got that on the back of all their players' shoulders. And Johnny G just left them, and last year, it was a year before, but it's still on their brains, so they want to play for Johnny. So I think that's good momentum for them. But it's Dustin Wolf. Dustin Wolf was a stellar backup, and now he's got his first real year as a starting goalie. And I think he's got it. I really think he's got it. I don't know how long you've paid attention to Calgary, but they've had some of the best goalies over the last so many years. They have great talent when it comes to attendee, right? And Dustin Wolf is just a solid backup, like a solid attendee.
And I mean, Vlader's good too.
Yeah,
Both are, but Wolf is letting up. Both goalies are letting up less than 3 goals a game.
Yeah.
Dustin Wolf, let me just tell you, Dustin Wolf is averaging almost 35 saves a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a stone wall. He's got a 94% save rate at this point. That's where the term Stonewall comes from. The guy, but this is what hockey's supposed to be, right? You get a goalie who plays legendary, and then the team picks up the slack. And we're seeing that. The best teams in the league are showing that.
And then you have a backup that can pick up the slack if Wolf cannot.
It's like, and I'm an Islanders fan, of course, but when things are clicking for the Islanders, Sorokin and Varley, you have 2 solid options, right? That's what's worked, and that's what worked for the Golden Knights the last 3-4 seasons. Having 2 solid options, having a great starter and like a B+ backup, But
old school, because we're referencing Flames, an old Flame, and you'll go, oh, I can't. You're like, oh my god, I totally forgot about him. Remember, Mike Vernon left the Flames, and he combined with Chris Osgood, and people were like, no way, this is gonna fucking work out. And then the tandem between Vernon and Osgood was amazing.
Yeah, and listen, when you get a situation where you have a starter and a backup who are that lock and key together, like it's not like there's some kind of hurt feelings if one's got to come in or the other one's got to play. It's like, listen, I know I can play 2 really great games, and then I know that he can play the next one and he's not going to lose it for us. And giving that team that kind of confidence, it's huge. It's huge for the defenders out there. It's huge for the offense, because they know that all they have to do, and it sounds like, all they have to do is score 3 goals, but they scored 3+ goals and they win. According to their numbers, they put up more than 3. They're taking a W away, right? And so, it's kind of hard to argue with that. Right now, it's been really exciting. I've been enjoying it. One of the teams, let me get back here. So I just like to look at like the overall numbers for the league together. One of the teams that I think has started to kind of pick it back up, they weren't too hot at first, but I'm starting to see good things coming back out of the Colorado Avalanche. And to me, that's always exciting because, I grew up, the Colorado Avalanche had who they had. They had Patrick Waugh and several other players who we've talked about that we know that, I enjoy watching. And they're starting to do their thing again. It's exciting for me to see. I'm happy for them. Don't get me wrong. They're still only 3-4 at this point, but they're looking way better. Is there any team that, like, now besides the San Jose Sharks, because they're just abysmal right now, but is there anyone else who you're just like shocked by?
Not really. I think I'm shocked by the Wild starting off as a 4-0 team, but it's Minnesota hockey. Minnesota is known. That state is known for hockey, and they have a great fandom. They have a great atmosphere. I'm not surprised that Minnesota is doing off to a hot start, and they are a very underrated team since they've been in the league. They've had ups and downs. They've had great talent. They have one of the best talented players on their team with, right now. Let
me ask you a question on this, because I don't know the answer. Right. So, but here's what I do know. Minnesota, like the University of Minnesota, their hockey team is legendary. Yeah. I do know that.
Yeah.
Does the Minnesota Wild, do they recruit from them? Like, I feel like that should be a hotbed for them. Like, you're right there.
The Frozen Four, Minnesota, that Frozen Four is always up there. I get it, but it's the atmosphere. That's why I was surprised when they left from the North Stars down to Dallas, and it took them so long to get a team back. It's like Minnesota is a team that needs a team. If there's any state that needs a goddamn hockey team in the United States, it's Minnesota.
You know who I would like to see get one in the United States? Maine.
Yeah, Maine would be, but I don't know. Could you really think Bangor could really have that?
I don't know, but like Maine hockey is a real thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
hockey is, but I don't know if Bangor could hold a team like that.
It's tough to say. From a business perspective, I have no idea. I know Maine for skiing and lobster, but I know that they got a big thing going on with hockey too.
But before we switch off there, the one thing I was talking about is just because Canadians, right? I actually found this really interesting because the Carey Price incident situation, a lot of people don't know. It was he got basically his surgery on his knee. He got the oats. That's what it was called, the oat surgery. So basically, he replaced one knee for another knee, and that is detrimental to a goalie with movement and being able to play the game. So he's going to sit on the contract till 2026 on the IR. He's never going to play again. That's what happened to Carey Price. He just basically walked away from the game. But they have a goalie coming up, Jacob Fowler, who is supposed to be arguably the next Carey Price. So he's someone to look out for.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. So now, we're coming towards the later half of the show, and it is that time. This week, Friday evening, the New York Yankees make their return to the World Series.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go, New York. That's my team. I'm an uptown guy. I love that. But they're not playing anybody. They're playing the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah,
one of the biggest, baddest wolves out there right now, right?
This is David versus Goliath. This is King Kong versus Godzilla.
That's what it is. King Kong versus Godzilla. And so, just to jump right in, because I was looking at these questions, and this was something that caught me right away. The pitching rotations.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I really think it's going to be the Yankees because they're managing it well. I know the last game, the Dodgers had a bullpen game, and they won that game outright. They both manage it. But when it comes down to managers, and I know you'll probably agree with me, Roberts is a little more smarter than Aaron Boone.
He is.
Yeah. Roberts is way more smarter with his rotation because I do a lot of my spaces with Yankees, and they're they see Mark Leiter going out, they see Jake Wheeler going out,
Listen,
Wheeler going out, Weaver going out, and all that shit, and all of a sudden they're we lost this game. They have no faith in the pitching, but when it goes to the Dodgers, you put anybody in that rotation in there, and they have faith. That's the one thing that's dangerous in that rotation is you have faith in your pitching.
Well, here's my thing, right? First, if Rodon and Coles do their thing, that's 2 games right there. We're taking them.
Yeah.
No question that there's no question to me on that. We need a game from Gill, right? We need Gill to come out there and let up less than 3 runs. He's got to have an ERA sub 3 and he's got to pitch a good 5 innings for us. That much is true.
But are they going to? Do you think they're going to throw Stroman finally out there? Do you think Stroman gets a chance to throw a pitch?
Probably. It just depends on if this goes 7 games, we're going to see Stroman at some point. I just don't know in what capacity. But as a middle relief, I've actually been okay with Mark Leiter so far. I think he's done okay. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I think Weaver and Hill have been the biggest. They've been the biggest surprise for us. Without Weaver and Hill holding down the back end of these games, we might have some losses. We might not be in the World Series. So during the regular season, I'm not sure I could always say that, but what Weaver's done as a bullpen force, I think he's really changed the game for our rotation. I have a lot more confidence in our pitching going into this series because, I've seen that. I already watched them go up against the best pitching and some of the best hitting in baseball. I was about to call them the Cleveland Indians, the Guardians, right? And they shut them down. They got rid of them, out of there. There were some, don't get me wrong, there were some plays. Manzardo comes in, bombs a home run. A DH comes in, walks it off. Everything wasn't perfect, but they did enough. They did enough. And now the big part of this is it's Juan Soto and playoff G. Stanton's been a beast.
Yes.
An absolute beast. Like, for me, if we have those guys hitting, listen, Judge, like, come on, Judge, we need you. We don't need him to bat 700 like these guys are doing, 600, 700. But if he can bat 300 in the World Series, in between Stanton and Juan Soto,
yeah,
then we're lit.
With Shohei and Judge, it's just the MVP curse. That's all that is. Every year,
a couple of highlight moves, a home run here, a base hit here. They're not doing bad, but the way, you understand what I'm talking about. The way that, I was not, think about a month ago, talking about Stanton in the playoffs. And then all of a sudden, everything clicked for him. Stanton went off. And from that point that Stanton went off, the guy's been stealing bases. Every time he hits a ball, it's out of the park. Yeah. It's been quite impressive to see.
Seeing Stanton steal a base was everybody was like, "What?"
Yo, that made my we were all talking about why he couldn't make it to first base. Then he gets on first and steals second. I was like, no way, Stanton. But playoff G is a whole different thing. It's all the way real, It wasn't like it was one series. It's been he's dialed in. He's dialed in. He's Batman for us right now. He's the Dark Knight. I love that guy. I might have to get a Stanton jersey after this season too. I don't know. But so moving on to question 2, right? What is the significance of having 2 number ones, right, playing each other in the World Series? I think that this World Series in general has a lot of implications, right? We got the $1 billion man, Shohei Ohtani, the Japanese guy, right? Against the all-star American Judge. We got Los Angeles against New York. We got number 1 against number 1. There's just so many storylines. I love it. I love it. You know what I mean?
It because of the money. This is what it is. It's like you talk with the NFL script writers, the MLB script writers, are like, oh, they wanted this. They wanted this. But this is MVP versus MVP. This is what you wanted. This is what everybody wanted.
Listen,
we haven't seen this series. Neither you or I, and we are in our 40s, neither of us have ever seen this series in our entire life.
Yeah, listen, it's so exciting. It's been 15 years for the New York Yankees. The Dodgers, more recent, but the Dodgers went so in. Again, the Dodgers spent $750 million on one man. So the expectation, anything less than the World Series this season would have been a complete bust. So, they're where they're supposed to be. It's super exciting. I'm hyped for it. And again, this is like a historic World Series. Like it or not, you guys could hate Los Angeles, you could hate New York, but this is history right here. This could be one of the most exciting series. I fully expect it to go to 7 games. It better go to 7 games. I want my money's worth, damn it. But I'm excited for it. So, now kind of moving on to that next one, home field advantage. What does home field advantage mean in the World Series? What does it mean to the Yankees in Los Angeles specifically?
I've said this for years. Fuck home field advantage. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It all has to go down to the players. It has nothing to do with home field advantage. That's why they need to get rid of it during the All-Star break, because it just kind of kills the All-Star game, because they're playing for home field advantage. It really does not matter.
I can, and listen, I can't really argue that. It's not like both stadiums are hitter friendly.
Yeah.
They're both hitter friendly stadiums. Both stadiums, the crowds are going to be completely raucous. It's not like it's going to be calm in Los Angeles and crazy in New York or vice versa. It's going to be out of control. Pitchers are going to be struggling to hear.
For both.
Yeah.
Going first, and LA is just going to be rocking. And then they get the next 3 in New York. It's just going to be equally as rocking.
Yeah. In this one, it really like you said, it's about the players. Like Mookie Betts needs to be batting, 400 or 500 really in the World Series. He needs to be on his A game, and he's picked it up a lot, right? But they have a lot of good people on that team. It's not like here's what I think. Here's my unsung hero for that team who's going to be a make or break. And I said this going into the playoffs. I said this to your boy on one of our spaces, and he was that guy, Teoscar Hernandez. That to me is like, because we already see what everybody else is delivering. He's got to continue playing that kind of baseball he's been playing. I think he's a key player in this. And then of course, the Yankees, if Soto and Stanton continue their pace, then they're going to be a really hard team to beat. They're going to be a really hard team to beat. So, it's tough to say. I think this can go either way for sure. But for me, obviously, New York Yankees.
Stanton needs to be Stanton for the Yankees to have their momentum they have. Shohei, I don't think he's gonna get pop off. We all were like, playoff Shohei, but no. My man is another Hernandez, is Kiki Hernandez. I love that man in October. That man is amazing.
He's good.
October.
He's good. That's a fact.
Got the swagger with it too. He knows he's October baseball, but he's still like, oh, hey, what's going on? What's going on? I'm just here to play. I'm here to play. It does not faze him. And that guy can play anything. That guy can pitch. He can play back catcher. He can play anything. He's a great utility player. So Kiki Hernandez, if he can get pop off, then that's going to be shocking. But there has been a lot of key players of LA that will surprise you. Like Freeman's kind of hurt. Freeman's kind of there. You don't know what he's going to do, but oh my God, there's been so many other players that have picked it up in LA. And that's what I mean about these key players. There's no real key players, in my opinion. They all have done something equally to help each team make it to the finals.
I think that the MVPs collectively, I think both MVPs will have a home run in the World Series. I think both of them are going to bat probably like 250 though. I don't think either one of them are going to do what they need to. And it's going to be about the players around them. They got you this far, and now it's going to be about the players behind them. And Hernandez's, right? Betts. And then, like we said, Stanton. And you know what? For the Yankees, though, there's a couple of other guys, Gleyber Torres, that guy's just got to make sure he gets on base. Get on base. Let these guys drive you in, Just play some small – Gleyber's got to be playing some small ball. Just hit a single, hit a double, just get out there, take a walk. But get on base, Volpe, like the fuck,
one of the guys you really
Verdugo, excuse me,
is not so much right now. So say if LA does win, right? The one guy you're gonna have to watch out for is Will Smith. He was on the last 3 World Series teams, and now he's on this team. If Will Smith goes somewhere else, people are gonna watch where he goes because that's gonna be a World Series team. Because Will Smith, he just somehow gets on a World Series team every year.
He's nice like that, There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. So I'm pretty excited about it. No question about that.
The guy out was Tommy Edman. Tommy Edman has shown up this fall playoffs.
Listen, I can't argue that. Now let's see. What's this last question we got here? So this is kind of an interesting one. I don't really know how to answer this. How do you think the contrasting styles of play between the Yankees and Dodgers are going to impact the first couple of games? I think that these teams are fairly similar this playoff, to be honest. I think that we've seen a lot of similarity in the way that these teams have handled themselves. I'm not sure. I think that what the big key is going to be in games 1 and 2, it's going to be starting pitching. Which pitcher can keep which team at bay? That to me is going to be what really kind of does it.
Well, I did it on 2 ways on this one is because the Yankees are more high offense and their rotation can slow them down. And the Dodgers is more their pitching is more high offensive, and their players are slowing down. That's what I mean by it's opposite. It's the Dodgers play on their pitching, and the Yankees play on their batting.
Well, and I can see why you'd say that, but I feel like during the NLCS, the Dodgers got the bats going. I mean, they scored an unruly amount of runs on the Mets. That was, in their wins, they scored something like 40, 50 runs almost against the Mets in their 4 wins or 3 wins, right? What was it? No, 4 wins, right? But right, it was right. They had a 10 to 1, 10 to nothing, like just shellackings, historic ass whoopings against the Mets. Unfortunately,
so that's what I mean. Is they had the confidence in their pitching that took the pressure off the hitting, and the Yankees, they need their pitching. They have confidence in their hitting, and their pitching has been wishy-washy. So that's what I mean. They're completely opposite in how they play. So it's gonna happen. But
I think it's gonna be a high-scoring World Series. I don't think it's going to come against starting pitching. I think these games will get going more in the, like starting pitching will give up some big hits, of course. Oh, my little girl just woke up. And it's almost time for the show to end. But real quick on that, for me, the big key for the Yankees, right, as I've said the whole time, I think that we need a W out of Cole and Rodon to start the series. If we get those 2 wins, night for the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about it. And I think the Dodgers, like, they see the way the Yankees are scoring, they see the way the Yankees are playing baseball. They need to be scoring 7, 8, 9 runs a game. They need to be blowing up on offense. Those are my major keys to the game. That's all I got for this week, guys. What about you?
Well, I just saw it now 48 minutes ago. Rondon and Schmidt will start 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Yeah.
So that means 1 is Garrett Cole.
Yeah. So Cole opens it up, then Rondon on 2, then Schmidt on 3.
And that's what. So like for me, if we take games 1 and 2, like, listen, I was there in 2004. I know what can happen, but this is different for me. We win those first 2 games. I think we got this.
It's going to be a 6 or 7 game series. I think
no matter what.
Both take a home from each other. So this is going to be 1-1 going into game 2 and 3. Then it's going to be 2 and 2 going into game 5. So it's basically that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a LA wins. I always see somebody winning 2 in a row.
And are you going to have a space going on for the game tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, so listen, guys, it is that time. Vinny's Corner is about to shut it down. But if you follow me or my man Canadian Cove it is now on X, Cove is going to have a space going on. You'll be able to see it on both of our pages, Vin Casada 1 or Canadian Cove. We'll both be there, of course, with several other fans. There will probably be some Dodgers and Yankees fans in there talking a lot of mess to each other. So show up. It's going to be an exciting one. As always, guys, thanks for showing up to Vinny's Corner, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yep.
All right, brother.
Yep.